Okay, so this Yarn Scrap Friday, it looks like we are making a pencil topper, and this comes from Michael at Instagram. If you want to drop your Yarn Scrap Friday ideas in the comments below, then I will add them to the Yarn Scrap Friday pot. And okay, so because we're near Halloween, let's see what I can come up with. And this is what I came up with. A cute little Count Dracula pencil topper. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so for this project, you're obviously going to need a pencil or a pen. I've got my lovely Garfield pencil here. We're going to be using 4 different colours. We've got a tiny bit of red, purple, a white. You could use blue as well if you want to, and some black. And this is a sport baby weight yarn, so it's a yarn weight of 2, but you can use any yarn that you like. And with that, I'm using a 3mm crochet hook, and you're also going to need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle and a tiny bit of toy stuffing as well, or even scraps for stuffing. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the purple, and we're going to make the body first, which wraps around the pencil. And so we do a little slip knot, and then we're going to chain 7. Let's chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to do 1 single crochet in our second chain from our hooks. This pattern's in US terminology, so in UK terms, that's a double crochet. So don't count the loop on your hook as 1 and then 2, second chain, we do a single crochet. We're going to work 1 single crochet in each chain along. So we should have a stitch count of 6. Okay. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so it's going to be the length of the body. Then we're going to chain 1, don't count that as a stitch, and turn. And we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch across. And we're going to do that for as many rows as we need to fit around our pencil. So for me, I did 6 more rows. So this is rows 2 to 7, 6 more rows of just chain 1, turn, 1 single crochet in each stitch along. So in total for my pencil, I had 7 rows in total. Try and get that last stitch right on the corner. Okay, so you just chain 1, turn, work 1 single crochet in each stitch along, keeping a stitch count of 6, and do that for as many rows as you need to fit around your pencil. So I shall do that, then I shall come back. Okay, just coming up to the end of row 7. Okay, so I've done 7 rows in total, and you just need to double check that fits around your pencil. Okay, so that's a really nice snug fit. So you may have to do more or less rows depending on how big your pen or pencil is. But now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch the 2 sides together. So we're just going to chain 1 and turn, put our hook into that first stitch, and then find the corresponding chain over the other side. And we're just going to slip stitch those together. Do that all the way across, making sure to match up each side. You can also sew it if you prefer, if that's easier for you. You don't have to do slip stitches. Okay. 6. Okay, and then we just double check again that this fits on our pencil. Got too many tail ends in the way at the moment. Okay, so that's a perfect fit. Okay, so let's move on to his face. Okay, so we're going to rejoin our hook, and we're going to do a little chain 1. And what we need to do is work 1 single crochet neatly around the top edge. And I did 6 single crochet. So I'm just going to roughly, neatly as I can, work a single crochet. So that's 1, then moving over, 2, moving over, 3, 4, 5, and one more, 6. So it's almost one for every row. I just did one less, and then we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet. Okay, now we've got some proper stitches to work with at the end, and we're going to join our white yarns. This is going to be his head colour, and you could do like a light blue or a white. I think I'll go with white, which is probably not the best colour on camera actually. Let's see if I can find a darker background. Okay, let's just temporarily use a black folder for a bit of contrast, and we're going to join the white yarn in a chain 1. Okay, like so. And what we're going to do is we are going to work 2 single crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to go back into that stitch we just slip stitched into and work 2, don't bring up the purple, 2 single crochets. So let's go into that first stitch, bring just the white yarn through and work 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. We can actually fasten off our purple, stop it getting in the way, and work 2 single crochet in each stitch around till we got a stitch count of 12. Okay, so 2 in the next stitch, and 2 in the next stitch, and so on. 1 and 2. Coming up to the end, 11 and 12. Okay, she should have a stitch count of 12, and we're just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet to join the round. Okay, so moving on to the next round, what we're going to do is chain 1, don't count that as a stitch, and going back into the same stitch we just slip stitched into, we do 1 single crochet by itself. Then in the next stitch we do an increase of 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. So 2 in there. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Back to the beginning until we got a stitch count of 18. Okay, so it's 1 by itself in the next stitch, then an increase of 2 single crochet. 1 and 2. Okay, just coming up to the end, 1, and then ending on 2 single crochet, 1 and 2. Then we're just going to slip stitch in our first single crochet to join. And now what we're going to do is a little chain 1, and we're just going to work 1 single crochet starting in the same stitch you just slip stitched into. We're going to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around, keeping a stitch count of 18, and we're going to do that for 3 rounds. Okay, so just 1 single crochet in each stitch around, stitch count of 18, and we'll do it for 3 rounds. So I shall do that, and then I shall come back. Okay, just coming up to the end of the 3rd round. So we've done 3 rounds of 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I'm just going to slip stitch in the first single crochet to join. Okay, so hopefully you got something that looks like this. Now we're just going to do 1 more round in the white. Start off with a chain 1, don't count that as a stitch, and we do go back into the same stitch you just slip stitched into, just like before, do 1 single crochet. Then we're going to single crochet 2 stitches together. So I'm going to do an invisible decrease. So to do that, instead of going under both loops, just go under the front loop, and then move over immediately to the next front loop only. Then we yarn over, bring it under both those front loops, then yarn over and work your single crochet. That's an invisible decrease, single crochet decrease. Then we repeat that, so in the next stitch we just do 1 single crochet as normal, then we single crochet 2 together. So front loop, grab the yarn and work your single crochet. So just repeat that round, doing 1 single crochet, 2 together, 1 single crochet, 2 together, and our stitch count should go back down to 12. Okay. Okay, so you should end on single crocheting the last 2 together. Then we're just going to slip stitch in our first. Be careful of that, what looks like a stitch at the end. That's what I call the fake stitch. So careful not to crochet into that. And we're just going to slip stitch into our first single crochet and then bring up a loop. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to stuff the head. So don't stuff the body because we need to put the pencil inside of there. So we're just going to grab a little bit of stuffing and some blunt scissors. These look sharp, but they're super blunt. And we're just going to add some stuffing. Okay, once you've done that, we're going to rejoin our hook and we're going to get our black yarn. So now I'm going to swap back to the white background. Hopefully that helps. It's like the worst colours to work with on camera are white, black and red. But we're going to yarn over with our black yarn, bring that through. Pull all your tail ends, and now we're working with the black. And all we're going to do is we're just going to single crochet 2 together until the hole closes up. So I'm going to start in the same stitch we just slip stitched into. I'm just going to work normal decreases. So I'm not going to do the invisible decrease. So it'll add a little bit of texture. Let's pull all those tail ends, and I'm just going to single crochet 2 together to the end. Next stitch, 3 loops, pull through all 3. Okay, just coming up to the last 2, single crochet those 2 together, and I'm just going to slip stitch into our first decrease. Okay, then we're going to fasten off, leave a little bit of tail for sewing. Just pull that through, and I've trimmed my tail ends, just push those on the inside as well. And then we're going to get our yarn needle, thread it on, and we're just going to draw string, so close the top. So what I mean by that is we go in to the next stitch and out, avoiding the stuffing, the next stitch, then go in the next stitch, out the next stitch, and just pull as you sew, and that will draw string the top closed. Okay, and what I also would like to do, making sure the seam is at the back. At the front, I'm just going to create like a little loop stitch here. I think it's called, I forget the name of the type of stitch now. But what we're going to do is we come over to the top, so near to the black at the top. Sew there. Then we're just going to hold a little loop like this, and we're going to sew back in where we came out and sew down about 1 row here like this. Okay, making sure this loop is underneath your needle. Pull that through, and that should catch that little loop, and then we're going to go back in where we came out. I'm just going to sew over here for now, and that creates this little loop on the top. And whilst I've got this tail end, I can also sew a little mouth, but I'm going to leave that and work on the eyes next so I know where the mouth goes. So for the eyes, I'm going to take 2 short lengths of the black yarn. And like with all my little amigurumi eyes, I'm going to sew I'm going to tie a couple of knots on top of each other in the middle. So there's 1 and 2, and do that for this one as well. 1 and 2. And then all you do is you sew either end into the head so the knot catches on the outside to create a little eye. And I think we'll just put one eye over here. So we sew one end in. Come on, tail end. There we go. And then the other end in as well. And you can see the little eye catches on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to do that for the second eye and hide my tail ends, and then I shall come back. Okay, so once we've finished the eyes, we're going to bring up this tail end from the hair earlier. And now we know where the eyes are, we can create a little mouth. So come over, maybe about here. And then just sew over a couple of stitches here, and then hide our tail ends. So you've got like a cute little mouth like so. So once you've done that, we're going to grab some of the red yarn, just a tiny little bit of red yarn. And we're going to tie a knot in one end, like so, and then just trim down the excess. And get our yarn needle, and we're going to create two little bloody fangs as neatly as we can. So we're going to come in over here roughly, and we're just going to come up just underneath his mouth, and that knot should just catch on the inside, hopefully. Come on, go inside. Okay, and then we're going to create a tiny little stitch down and do the same the other side. Okay, and then just hide your tail ends. And you've got two little bloody fangs. Okay, so he's nearly finished. Last but not least, he needs his cloak. So we're going to get our black yarn, and we're going to chain 11. Okay, chain 11 to do a little slip knot, and chain 11. So 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, and 11. So chain 11, and we're going to double crochet 2 stitches together. So in UK terms, these are trebles. So we're going to yarn over, and going in your second chain from your hook, so don't count the loop on your hook. There's 1, there's 2. Starting in the second chain, we're going to bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, then yarn over again and go into the next chain, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through all 3, and that double crochets those 2 chains together. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 6 chains. So go into the next chain, work a double crochet in the next 6. So that's 1, next chain, 2, next chain, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that should leave you with 2 chains left, and we're going to double crochet those 2 together. So pull through 2, yarn over into the last stitch, pull through 2, pull through all 3. Okay, so our stitch count should have gone down to 8. Then we chain 1 and turn. We're going to double crochet the first 2 together. So double crochet the first 2 together. Then we do 1 double crochet in the next 4. So next stitch 1, next stitch 2, next stitch 3, and next stitch 4, and then we double crochet the last 2 together. Okay, so you've got 2 left. Let's double crochet those 2 together, and our stitch count should have gone down to 6. Okay. Okay, and we chain 1 and turn. Don't count that as a stitch. Okay, first stitch we're going to do 2 double crochet. So 2 in the same stitch. So 1 double crochet and then another one, 2 double crochet. So we're increasing now, 2 double crochet. Then we do 1 double crochet in the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the last stitch, you should have 1 left, we do 2 double crochet again. So 1 and another one in the same stitch, 2. Okay, so our stitch count's gone back up to 8. Chain 1 and turn. We start off with 2 double crochet in that first stitch. 1 and 2. Okay, then we do 1 double crochet in the remaining 7. So 1 double crochet to the end. So there's no increase at the end. 2, 7. And then one more row, we just chain 1 and turn. We do 2 double crochet in that first stitch. 1 and 2. And then we just do 1 double crochet to the end. So 1 double crochet in the remaining 8 stitches. 2, 6, 7, and the last one 8. Okay, so there's no increases at the end. And our stitch count should be 10. And you should have something that looks like this. So it's like wider this end, wide this end, and narrower at this point. Then we're just going to cut our yarn, pull the loop through, and we're going to hide this tail end, the smaller one, and then we're going to sew this one up to this narrow point. Okay, so taking the longer tail end, we're just going to gently sew as neatly as you can up to this narrow point. And then once this is at the narrow point, we're going to take our yarn needle and our little character, and we're going to place the two rows. We've got 3 rows here and 2 rows here. We're just going to place the 2 rows at the top and sew his little cloak on. Like so. We can neaten it off with some stitches over the top as well. Tail end on the inside, trim that down. And our little Count Dracula is done. There's all that's left to do is stick a pencil up his bottom. And there we go. There is our very cute Halloween special. Here's his little friend, pencil topper. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and I hope you managed to follow along. I'll probably get this written up on the website pretty soon, and I may even design a little pumpkin and a ghost pencil topper as well to go with him as a little collection. But thank you for watching. As always, a huge thank you to our Happy Babe Plus supporters for helping make these videos possible. Also, we have launched a YouTube channel membership, so do check that out for some exclusive content coming soon. And I think that's it. Go check out the website for 400 plus free crochet patterns, and I will see you soon for some more crochet crafting fun. Thanks for watching. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. All right. 1, 2, 3. And no, I don't have 3.